Everyday Stoic Moves, Ancient Strategies for Modern Problems. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. There is a moment, maybe in line at the grocery store, or caught in traffic, or staring down an overflowing inbox, when it hits, life feels relentless, and composure seems just out of reach. In a world obsessed with productivity hacks and instant fixes, the ancient wisdom of Stoicism arrives as both a challenge and a relief. Imagine, for a moment, what it would mean to meet each obstacle not with frustration, but with steady clarity. This book is an invitation to that possibility. Stoicism was forged in the fire of chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations on the battlefield. Seneca guided emperors through scandal and disaster. Epictetus rose from slavery to become one of history's great teachers. Their world, full of turbulence and uncertainty, was not so different from ours, just stripped of Wi-Fi and rush-hour commutes. Yet what makes Stoicism endure is its practicality. These philosophers did not promise escape from life's storms, but the tools to navigate them. Viktor Frankl, a survivor of unimaginable hardship, echoed this spirit when he wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Stoicism offers ancient strategies for this modern work, reframing setbacks, responding with intention, and finding calm within chaos. This is not about becoming unfeeling or detached. It is about meeting each day, with its distractions, disappointments, and surprises, with eyes wide open and values intact. The following pages are your field guide, time-tested moves, simple enough to practice anywhere, powerful enough to transform ordinary days into opportunities for wisdom, resilience, and steady joy. Understood. Here is Chapter 1 of Everyday Stoic Moves, Ancient Strategies for Modern Problems, precisely 500 words, not counting the key takeaways, reflection, and action step at the end, and with no subheadings inside the body. Chapter 1. The Stoic Morning, starting with intention before the world's noise rushes in, before emails beckon or headlines flash, there is a moment, a quiet pause where the day is still unshaped clay. The ancient Stoic seized this sliver of morning with fierce intention. Epictetus, born a slave and later a revered teacher, began each day by reminding himself that events would unfold beyond his control. In the cool light of dawn, he rehearsed a single idea. While he could not command what would happen, he was always free to choose his response. In a world of calendars and commutes, the temptation is to leap straight into urgency. The phone is checked, the inbox scanned, the mind fills with demands. Yet the Stoics invite a different approach, a deliberate prelude, a mental warm-up that anchors the day not in chaos, but in clarity. Imagine yourself, moments after waking, sitting at the edge of your bed. Instead of diving into the torrent, you pause and breathe. You recall that today, setbacks will come. Someone might cancel a meeting, traffic might snarl, a project might unravel. And yet, as Epictetus would insist, the true test is not what happens, but how you meet it. Marcus Aurelius, emperor beset by wars and betrayals, crafted his own ritual. Each morning, he wrote reminders to himself, not grand proclamations but humble prompts. When you wake up, he advised, prepare for interruptions, for complaints, for ingratitude. This was not pessimism but a kind of psychological inoculation. If the world surprised him with goodness, so much the better. If not, he was ready, fortified, unshaken. Modern research echoes this ancient practice. Studies show that setting intentions in the morning shapes our emotional resilience and decision-making throughout the day. Just as an athlete warms up to prevent injury, the mind benefits from a few quiet moments of reflection. What matters is not the ritual itself, but the orientation it creates. I will meet whatever comes today with equanimity and resolve. Consider this a gentle challenge. Tomorrow morning, as sunlight nudges through your window, resist the urge to reach for your phone. Instead, greet the day with a question. How will I use whatever happens as training for wisdom? With this mindset, even a spilled coffee or a missed bus becomes a chance to practice patience or creativity. This is the Stoic morning move, not a mystical ritual, but a practical preparation. It's the act of choosing, each day, to be captain of your soul, regardless of shifting tides. In this small space before the storm, you plant the seed of self-mastery. And as the day unfolds, you carry that intention with you, returning to it whenever life threatens to pull you off course. The day will bring its weather. But with the Stoic morning, you choose how to set your sail. The way you begin your day shapes how you handle its challenges. Stoic philosophers used morning intention setting to prepare for unpredictability. Small moments of reflection build resilience and self-mastery. Where could you carve out a quiet moment each morning to set your intention before the day's demands begin? Tomorrow morning, before checking your phone or email, spend 1 minute recalling a Stoic principle: I control my actions, not the outcome, and carry it with you into your day. Chapter 2: The Circle of Control. Mastering response over outcome. Every day, the world hurls 1,000 variables into the path of even the most organized person. The meeting that runs late. The storm that cancels a flight. The curt reply that stings. In ancient Rome, the Stoics faced their own brand of unpredictability: a sudden change in law, a city-wide fire, the whims of an emperor. Yet, the secret to their steady composure was not in taming the world, but in knowing exactly what could, and could not, be controlled. Imagine a craftsman at his workbench, surrounded by tools. He cannot dictate the quality of wood delivered to him, nor the weather outside, nor the tastes of the client. But within his reach are his tools, his hands, his focus. Epictetus taught his students to draw a mental circle. Inside, what belongs to you, your actions, judgments, decisions. Outside, everything else, the opinions of others, random events, past mistakes. Anxiety, he observed, grows when attention drifts to what lies outside this circle. Peace begins when energy returns to what is truly yours. Modern life teems with distractions that tempt the mind outward. Social media stirs up storms of opinion. Headlines scream catastrophe. Even close relationships can nudge us toward fixing, saving, or pleasing everyone. Yet, the Stoic move is a return to center. When a train is delayed, or a colleague misinterprets your words, the reflex may be frustration or blame. But the circle of control asks, what part of this is truly mine to steer? Sometimes, the only answer is your breath, your words, your willingness to adapt. Science confirms what the ancients sensed: ruminating over uncontrollable events drains willpower and mood. Conversely, focusing on actionable steps, however small, restores a sense of agency. Consider the professional who loses a major client. While the outcome stings, attention can be gently redirected. What can I learn? How will I respond next time? This subtle shift transforms defeat into growth. Metaphors abound for this principle: steering a ship through a storm, tending your own garden, or, as the Stoics put it, holding the rudder of your mind. The lesson is always the same: freedom lives not in changing the wind, but in trimming the sails. There's a quiet power in this realization. Suddenly, the day's chaos loses its teeth. You can choose patience in traffic, honesty in difficult conversations, effort in each task, even when the outcome hangs in the balance. The circle of control is not a fence but a foundation. It's not withdrawal from life, but full engagement with what's possible. As you move through the day, notice where your mind drifts outside your circle. Gently guide it back. In this practice, the Stoics found freedom, not from the world, but within it. Mastering response over outcome, they discovered, is not resignation but empowerment. Draw your circle, focus your energy, and let the rest be as it will. Clarity about what you can control is essential for inner calm. Stoics taught that your actions and attitudes are always within your reach. Focusing energy on your response, not outcomes, builds real power. Where, today, did your mind wander outside your circle of control, and how could you bring it back? When something outside your control frustrates you, pause and ask, what's one small action I can take within my circle right now? Chapter 3: Obstacle as Opportunity. Turning trials into training. In the mind of a Stoic, obstacles are not unwelcome visitors, they are teachers disguised as trouble. Marcus Aurelius, governing a fractured empire, confronted wars, betrayals, and plague, yet returned each night to his journal with a single, radical idea: the obstacle in the path becomes the path. Rather than seeing difficulty as a dead end, the Stoic sees it as a forge for character, a proving ground for wisdom and strength. Picture a river blocked by a fallen tree. The water does not complain or give up, it finds a new route, splitting and swirling, sometimes carving out an even broader path. Likewise, every unwelcome event, missed promotion, harsh criticism, and sudden setback offers a hidden opportunity. It might demand patience, creativity, or resilience that would otherwise remain dormant. The Stoics called this process turning the obstacle upside down. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they asked, "How can I use this?" The question transforms frustration into fuel. Modern neuroscience supports this ancient insight. Studies show that adversity, when met with the right mindset, activates regions of the brain responsible for learning and adaptation. People who view challenges as opportunities not only bounce back faster but often grow stronger than before. In business, this is called anti-fragility, the art of thriving under pressure, not despite it, but because of it. Every day, life teems with small obstacles. The printer jams before an important meeting. A friend cancels at the last minute. The commute turns into a slow crawl. The untrained mind sees only a nuisance. The Stoic in training recognizes a moment to practice composure, creativity, or humor. Consider a nurse faced with a chaotic shift. Rather than cursing the onslaught, she frames each difficulty as a drill, sharpening her skills for the next unexpected challenge. This mindset doesn't erase frustration but channels it into growth. Metaphors abound. Life's obstacles are weights at the gym, straining muscles, yes, but also building strength. Or they are the grit in the oyster, gradually forming pearls. What matters most is not the size of the obstacle but the spirit with which it's met. A minor inconvenience, when greeted with awareness, can be as transformative as a major crisis. The next time trouble appears, pause and remember, here is a hidden invitation. The Stoics urge, don't merely endure, engage. Turn the problem over, inspect it, look for the lesson or skill it's asking you to build. Over time, this practice reshapes adversity from enemy into ally. In every trial, the Stoic move is to ask, what quality is this calling forth in me? In this way, life's obstacles cease to be roadblocks and become stepping stones on the path to mastery. Obstacles are opportunities in disguise, offering chances to grow. The Stoic response to difficulty is to ask, how can I use this? Adversity, when approached wisely, strengthens character and skill. Think of a recent setback. What hidden lesson or opportunity did it contain for you? When faced with an obstacle today, pause and ask, what can I learn or practice right now because of this? Chapter 4. Pause, then proceed. The power of the Stoic gap. Life moves fast, but wisdom moves in the spaces between. The Stoics prize the moment between stimulus and response, a narrow gap with enormous power. Seneca, statesman and playwright, wrote often of this subtle pause. In the bustling courts of Rome, he observed that most mistakes sprang not from circumstance, but from reacting too quickly. His remedy was deceptively simple: before speaking, deciding, or acting, pause. Allow the first surge of emotion to pass. Only then, proceed. Modern existence is a gauntlet of triggers. A rude comment. An urgent notification. A missed deadline. Each carries the potential to hijack attention and provoke a snap reaction. Neuroscientists now confirm what the Stoics intuited. When the brain's emotional center takes the wheel, reason is sidelined. But inserting a sliver of time, a single breath, a moment's silence, restores control to the driver's seat. The pause is not avoidance, but a recalibration. Imagine standing at a crossroads. One path is well-worn and impulsive, the quick retort, the angry email, the hasty judgment. The other is less traveled, a short delay, a deliberate breath, a brief count to 5. This second path is the Stoic gap. In that gap, emotions can be acknowledged but not obeyed. Perspective is regained, and responses are chosen, not just blurted out. Seneca counseled, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. With even a moment's pause, heat cools and clarity returns. Real-life stories abound. Consider the athlete who misses a crucial shot. The temptation to blame, argue, or sulk surges. The greats, though, take a beat, recalibrate, and return to form. Or the parent who receives sharp words from a tired child. Instead of snapping back, they pause, recognize the fatigue, and respond with understanding. This ability is not innate but trained, built over countless small acts of self-interruption. The modern Stoic trains for these moments daily. At work, before responding to criticism. In traffic, when cut off. At home, before reacting to disappointment. The pause can be as brief as a single inhale, a subtle act that interrupts the automatic and makes room for the intentional. Over time, this gap becomes muscle memory. What once felt like an impossible restraint becomes the foundation for calm, wise action. Picture the mind as a still pond. A stone thrown in creates ripples, but with time, the surface returns to clarity. The Stoic gap is this space for the ripples to settle before responding. In the hurried world, this simple pause is a hidden superpower. Next time something or someone pushes your buttons, practice the Stoic move, pause, then proceed. In this quiet interval, freedom lives. In the gap, you become the author of your response, not a character swept along by impulse. The moment between stimulus and response is where wisdom resides. Pausing before reacting allows for clearer, calmer decisions. The Stoic gap can be trained through daily, intentional practice. When did you last react impulsively, and how might a brief pause have changed the outcome? Today, practice a deliberate pause before responding to any trigger, no matter how small, a breath, a count to 5, or a silent moment to choose your response. Chapter 5: Emotional Judo, Navigating Stress, Anger, and Anxiety. Strong emotions crash into daily life like sudden summer storms, catching even the calmest off guard. The Stoics understood this well. In their view, emotions are not enemies to be conquered, nor wild beasts to be suppressed, but signals to be understood and redirected. Epictetus compared the mind to an arena. When anger, fear, or anxiety storms in, the challenge is not to pretend they aren't there, but to meet them skillfully, using their force to one's advantage, as in the art of judo. Modern science confirms this ancient wisdom. Emotions, at their core, are messengers, biological responses shaped by evolution to protect and alert. Yet, left unchecked, they can distort perception and decision-making. Neuroscientists speak of the amygdala hijack, the brain's alarm system seizing control before reason can intervene. The Stoics, centuries ahead of their time, prescribed a countermeasure: name the emotion, observe it without judgment, and ask what it's trying to communicate. Imagine a manager blindsided by an unfair critique. The first wave may be indignation, a flush of stress. Instead of lashing out or retreating in silence, the Stoic move is to pause and label the feeling. This is anger. With the emotion named, its grip loosens. Seneca advised, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. This pause is not weakness but a redirection, a chance to consider a measured response. Like a judo master using an opponent's momentum, the Stoic channels the emotion into purposeful action. Real-life stories abound. Athletes feel anxiety before the big game. Doctors face stress amid emergencies. Parents encounter frustration in the swirl of family life. Those who thrive are not devoid of feeling, but skilled at noticing, naming, and reframing emotion. A surgeon's nerves before a difficult procedure? A signal to focus and prepare. A student's anxiety before an exam? Energy to be harnessed, not feared. Practical tools support this mindset. Deep breathing, brief walks, and journaling are not escapes, but ways to reset. Reframing is key, viewing a stressful meeting as a stage for practicing composure or a conflict as a test of patience. Over time, emotional judo becomes second nature. Emotions are still felt, but no longer dictate the script. The Stoics knew that to be human is to feel deeply. The aim was never cold indifference, but wise engagement. Emotions, when faced with curiosity and care, can become guides rather than saboteurs. The mind, like an arena, is never empty, but the trained Stoic moves with purpose, letting emotions come and go, choosing which to follow and which to release. When the next emotional storm rolls in, recall this ancient art. Notice, name, and gently steer the energy. What feels like a threat can become a source of strength. Emotions are signals, not enemies. Naming them reduces their power. Stoic techniques align with modern science: pause, observe, and redirect. Emotional mastery is about wise engagement, not suppression or denial. When you next feel a strong emotion, how can you pause, name it, and use it as information rather than fuel for reaction? Today, when an emotion surges, quietly identify it and ask, "What is this trying to tell me, and how can I respond wisely?" Chapter 6: The Wisdom of Perspective, Zooming Out for Clarity. When life feels overwhelming, problems expand to fill the frame, obscuring all else. The Stoics, masters of perspective, knew the remedy: zoom out, widen the lens, see the bigger picture. Marcus Aurelius, writing late at night by lamplight, often reminded himself that today's drama would soon be washed away by the tides of time. Think of the whole of existence, he mused, and your part in it. This practice, both humbling and liberating, restores clarity in the midst of chaos. Imagine standing atop a mountain, looking down at a winding road. What seemed a maze from ground level is now revealed as a simple path, one bend leading to the next. So it is with worries and disappointments. By climbing above the moment, the mind regains a sense of proportion. A harsh email, a missed deadline, or a social misstep that once felt monumental shrinks to its proper size, important, perhaps, but rarely catastrophic. The Stoics used several tools to cultivate perspective. One was the view from above, a mental exercise in which the self is imagined rising above the city, then the country, then the planet itself. Suddenly, the day's frustrations are set against the vastness of history and the sweep of human experience. Marcus Aurelius described looking down on his own palace as if it were an anthill, bustling and temporary. This exercise was not meant to diminish problems, but to right-size them, reducing anxiety and restoring calm. Modern psychology mirrors these insights. Research shows that those who practice perspective-taking are more resilient, less prone to rumination, and better equipped to solve problems. Techniques like the 5-year rule, asking whether today's worry will matter in 5 years, help break the spell of immediacy. Even a brief mental step back can loosen the grip of stress and open the door to creative solutions. Metaphors abound: life as a play, each event a scene, or as a river, always moving, carrying today's troubles downstream. The Stoics were fond of memento mori, remembering mortality not to darken the spirit, but to brighten it. By recalling that time is limited, small annoyances lose their sting, and gratitude for the present moment grows. In everyday life, perspective can be a silent ally. When disappointment threatens to overwhelm, ask, "How big is this, really? What would I say to a friend in this situation?" Or, if viewed from a year's distance, "What might I see that is invisible now?" The wise learn to shift vantage points, finding clarity and calm in the midst of uncertainty. The next time a problem feels all-consuming, practice the Stoic move: zoom out. From this higher vantage, what matters most comes into focus, and the rest fades like mist in the morning sun. In perspective, there is wisdom, humility, and peace. Perspective reduces anxiety and reveals the true size of problems. Stoics use tools like the view from above and memento mori for clarity. Modern research confirms that zooming out builds resilience and creative thinking. When you feel trapped by a problem, how could you shift your perspective to see the bigger picture? Today, when faced with a challenge, imagine looking at it from a year in the future. What stands out as truly important? Chapter 7: Radical Acceptance, Making Peace with What Is. Every life holds events that cannot be changed, no matter how fiercely resisted. The Stoics called this the discipline of acceptance, a practice not of resignation but of radical clarity. Epictetus, once enslaved and later celebrated as a philosopher, taught that suffering grows not from the event itself but from the refusal to accept it. What happens, happens, what remains is how to meet it. In a world hungry for control, this lesson is both jarring and liberating. Modern life brims with frustrations. A flight is cancelled, a friend disappoints, a diagnosis upends plans. The reflex is to protest, to mentally replay what might have been. Yet the Stoic sees this as wasted energy, a battle with reality that cannot be won. Acceptance, in this sense, is not a passive surrender but an active embrace of the present moment, blemishes and all. It means meeting reality on its terms and asking, given this, what now? Rather than draining strength fighting the unchangeable, energy is conserved for what truly matters: response and adaptation. Metaphors illuminate this practice. Imagine a river striking a rock. The water does not rage or argue, it simply flows around the obstacle, continuing its journey. Likewise, when faced with unalterable facts, the wise move is not resistance but flow, adjusting course without losing momentum. Seneca wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. Those who accept what is are not defeated, they are freed to act within new parameters." Modern psychology echoes these ancient truths. Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, ACT, teaches that fighting reality intensifies distress, while acknowledgement opens the door to purposeful action. Athletes sidelined by injury, professionals facing redundancy, families living with loss, those who move forward are not those who deny the facts, but those who acknowledge and adapt. Acceptance allows for grief, disappointment, and even anger, but it also allows for new plans, fresh hopes, and a redirected spirit. Practical steps support this mindset. When the urge to protest arises, pause and name what cannot be changed. Allow space for emotion without judgment. Then ask, where is my power now? What is possible, given these circumstances? Over time, this practice transforms adversity from a crushing weight into a challenge that can be met with courage and grace. To accept reality is not to love every twist of fate, but to stop wasting precious time in war with the inevitable. Radical acceptance opens the path to creative solutions, to renewed purpose, and to a deeper peace with oneself and the world. The next time an unwelcome fact arrives, practice the Stoic move: pause, acknowledge, and shift energy to what can be shaped. In this act, there is freedom, a quiet, sturdy peace that endures beyond circumstance. Radical acceptance means making peace with unchangeable realities. Resistance to facts increases suffering. Acceptance frees energy for adaptation. Both ancient Stoicism and modern psychology highlight the transformative power of accepting what is. What situation in your life calls for acceptance, and how might you redirect your energy once you acknowledge it? Today, when you face something outside your control, pause, acknowledge it, and ask, where can I focus my energy now? Chapter 8: Everyday Virtue, Living Your Values on Autopilot. In the heart of Stoic philosophy lies a simple but profound question: how can one live a good life, no matter the circumstance? The answer, for the Stoics, was virtue, an ancient word for habits of character that turn intention into action. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance were not distant ideals, but practical skills honed in the arena of daily life. Each was a muscle to be trained, until choosing what is right became almost automatic. Picture a skilled musician playing a complex piece, fingers moving without conscious thought. Years of practice have built fluency, so the notes flow effortlessly. In much the same way, Stoics believed that by practicing virtue daily, one could face each challenge with a kind of moral reflex. Wisdom meant choosing the best path amid uncertainty. Courage showed up not only on the battlefield, but in honest conversations, standing up for fairness, or facing personal fears. Justice was treating others as they deserved, whether in the marketplace or at the dinner table. Temperance was balance, knowing when to speak, when to pause, when enough is truly enough. Modern science supports the value of habits in shaping character. Researchers in behavioral psychology have found that small, repeated actions are more powerful than grand declarations. Tiny acts of honesty, kindness, or restraint, performed consistently, shape identity over time. As the saying goes, you become what you repeatedly do. The Stoics understood this long before brain scans or habit trackers. They built daily routines to ensure that virtue was lived, not merely admired. Real-life stories illustrate this principle. Consider the employee who quietly returns an overpayment, the student who chooses effort over shortcuts, the neighbor who helps without fanfare. These are not headline-grabbing feats, but the quiet pulse of virtue in action. In a culture dazzled by dramatic gestures, the Stoic path is refreshingly humble. Excellence is not a single act, but a series of small choices, repeated until they become second nature. Metaphors abound. Virtue is a compass that points true north when fog descends. It is armor in moments of temptation, a lamp on dark roads. Most days, the practice of virtue is unremarkable, saying no when it matters, listening with full attention, speaking the truth gently. Over time, these small moves accumulate, shaping a life of substance and meaning. The Stoic invitation is clear: build virtue into the fabric of ordinary days. Let it guide decisions when no one is watching. The aim is not perfection, but steady progress, a little wiser, braver, fairer, and more balanced than yesterday. In this way, values become autopilot, steering the ship through calm and storm alike. Virtue, for the Stoics, means daily habits of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Consistent small actions shape character more than occasional grand gestures. Living your values on autopilot leads to a meaningful, resilient life. Which Stoic virtue could you practice more consistently in your daily routines, and what might change if you did? Choose one virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance, and practice it deliberately in a small way today. Chapter 9: Stoic Communication: Speaking Wisely, Listening Deeply. Words possess immense power, to heal or harm, unite or divide, clarify or confuse. The Stoics recognize that true strength lies not only in facing adversity but in navigating the daily exchanges that shape relationships and reputations. Seneca, famed for his wit and candor, counseled that the wise weigh their words and listen with full attention. In an age of constant chatter and digital noise, Stoic communication is more vital than ever. Picture a craftsman, carefully selecting the right tool for each task. The Stoic approaches conversation with similar care. Before speaking, ask: is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This ancient filter, echoed in many wisdom traditions, guards against gossip, exaggeration, and careless speech. Seneca advised speech should be measured, not rapid. The pause before responding is not hesitation, but respect, both for one's own values and for the other's humanity. Listening, too, is an act of virtue. In heated moments, the urge to interrupt or defend can be overwhelming. Yet, the Stoic listens with patience, seeking first to understand. Modern research confirms that deep listening builds trust, reduces conflict, and leads to better solutions. In tense meetings or family disagreements, a single moment of true attention can change the tone, turning adversaries into collaborators. Metaphors bring this principle to life. Words can be arrows, once released, impossible to retrieve. They can also be seeds, quietly shaping the future. The Stoics saw dialogue as an opportunity to practice courage in speaking truth, temperance in withholding rash words, justice in giving others their due, and wisdom in knowing when to be silent. Each exchange is a chance to embody one's values. Real-world examples abound. Consider the colleague who receives criticism with curiosity rather than defensiveness, asking, "Can you say more about that?" Or the friend who listens fully, resisting the urge to solve or judge, and instead simply holds space. These small moves create safety, invite honesty, and build stronger connections over time. Stoic communication also involves handling criticism and difficult people. Rather than bristling at harsh words, the wise separate the message from the messenger, searching for any useful truth and discarding the rest. Seneca suggested viewing criticism as a mirror, sometimes flawed, but always offering a chance to reflect and improve. Responding to insults with calm or refusing to return harshness with harshness disrupts cycles of escalation and models strength under pressure. Every conversation, in this light, becomes an exercise in virtue. Speak, listen deeply, and let your words build rather than break. Over time, Stoic communication transforms not only relationships but the very climate of one's home and workplace. When the next challenging exchange arises, remember, words are tools, wield them with wisdom, and listen as a form of respect. Stoic communication values truth, kindness, and restraint in both speaking and listening. Deep listening and thoughtful speech can transform relationships and resolve conflict. Every conversation is a chance to embody courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom. In what conversations could you pause longer before responding, or listen more deeply to embody Stoic virtues? In your next conversation, practice listening without interrupting and consider your words carefully before speaking. Chapter 10: Resilient Productivity: Doing what matters and letting go of the rest. Modern life often feels like an endless race against time, with demands multiplying faster than hours in the day. The Stoics, though living centuries before inboxes and to-do lists, grappled with the same sense of overwhelm. Their solution was both practical and profound: focus only on what matters most, and let go of the rest. Marcus Aurelius, juggling the pressures of empire, wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In these few words lies the secret to resilient productivity. Imagine a gardener tending a crowded plot. Without regular pruning, weeds and distractions choke the life from what is meant to flourish. So it is with daily tasks and obligations. The Stoic trains the mind to distinguish between the essential and the trivial, asking, "Does this serve my highest purpose?" Instead of scattering effort across endless pursuits, energy is invested where it yields the greatest value: quality over quantity. Modern research on productivity echoes these ancient insights. Studies reveal that multitasking erodes focus, while deliberate single-tasking enhances both performance and satisfaction. The most effective people are not those who do the most, but those who do what matters most, consistently and well. Setting boundaries, saying no gracefully, and clarifying priorities are all forms of Stoic discipline. The key is not to attempt more, but to choose wisely. Real-life examples abound. The executive who carves out time each morning to focus on one vital project, turning off notifications and resisting the lure of low-priority requests. The student who sets aside social media to study deeply then enjoys true rest without guilt. The parent who decides that presence at the dinner table outweighs a perfectly clean house. Each is practicing resilient productivity, the art of doing less, but better. Metaphors illustrate the lesson. Life is a vessel. It can carry only so much before sinking. By choosing carefully what to place inside, the journey becomes smoother, the cargo more precious. Letting go is not loss, but liberation, making space for the meaningful and the lasting. Obstacles are inevitable. There will always be more to do than can be done. Perfectionism whispers that every task deserves attention. The Stoic response is to embrace imperfection, release what cannot be controlled, and focus on actions that align with personal values. In this way, productivity becomes not just about getting things done, but about living with intention and integrity. The next time the calendar brims with demands, pause and ask, what is truly necessary? What can be released without regret? The path to resilient productivity is not paved with more tasks, but with greater clarity and purposeful action. Stoic productivity focuses on doing what matters most and letting go of the trivial. Single tasking, setting boundaries, and clarifying priorities build resilience and satisfaction. Letting go is an act of liberation, creating space for meaningful work and rest. Where in your life are you spreading yourself too thin, and what could you let go of to focus on what matters? Today, identify one low-value task to drop or delegate, and give your full attention to something truly important. Chapter 11: Evening Review: Daily Reflection for Lasting Growth. As daylight fades and the world quiets, the Stoics practiced a ritual more powerful than any grand gesture: the evening review. Seneca, after a day spent advising emperors and navigating political intrigue, would retreat to solitude and replay the day's events. This was not an exercise in self-criticism, but a gentle and honest inquiry, an opportunity to learn, adjust, and grow. In the echo of the day's choices, the seeds of tomorrow's wisdom are planted. Imagine a traveler pausing at sunset to check the map, noting the ground covered and considering the next steps. So it is with the mind at day's end. The Stoic reflects not only on successes but also on stumbles and missteps. What was done well? Where did impulses win over intention? The aim is not to tally failures, but to bring awareness to habits and patterns. Over time, this nightly practice weaves virtue into the fabric of daily life. Modern psychology supports the value of self-reflection. Studies reveal that journaling and honest review improve emotional regulation, foster resilience, and accelerate personal growth. Rather than letting mistakes pile up or victories go unnoticed, the act of review clarifies what to repeat and what to release. The process is simple. Replay the day in your mind, observe with curiosity, and ask how tomorrow might unfold with greater wisdom. Stories from all walks of life reveal the power of the evening review. A nurse, after a hectic shift, reflects on moments of patience and times of frustration, vowing to adjust tomorrow. A student considers which study strategies worked and where procrastination crept in. A parent recalls the laughter at dinner and the tense words at bedtime, making a quiet plan to improve. Each is practicing the art of mindful course correction, turning daily experience into lifelong growth. Metaphors abound. The evening review is a gardener tending the soil, removing weeds, and nurturing what should thrive. It is the athlete replaying the game, not to dwell on mistakes but to sharpen skills. It is the craftsman inspecting tools at the close of day, preparing for the work ahead. In all these, the spirit is one of progress, not perfection, a steady march toward living more wisely and well. The Stoic review is neither indulgence nor punishment. It is an act of self-respect, a daily renewal of intention. In this quiet moment, the clamor of the world fades, and the voice of conscience can be heard. Tomorrow's strength is built on today's honest appraisal. Tonight, before sleep, try the Stoic move, replay the day, reflect, and resolve. In this practice, each day becomes a stepping stone, carrying you forward on the path of growth and self-mastery. The evening review turns daily experience into wisdom and steady growth. Honest reflection fosters self-awareness, resilience, and intentional living. The aim is progress, not perfection, a daily renewal of one's values and aims. How could a nightly review of your actions and intentions help you grow more consistently over time? Before bed, spend 5 minutes reflecting on your day, notice a success, a challenge, and one way you can adjust tomorrow. Take care and be well.